What I'm finna do right now is called swapping your space. Look at this guy down here.
Robert Sylvester Kelly was once known as the king of R&B. His songs were everywhere, and his voice captivated millions. But behind the music, there was a different story. While his career soared, his personal life was falling apart. Legal troubles, scandals, and serious accusations were building up over time, slowly bringing him down. How did this happen? How did a man who was once at the top of the music world end up in a prison cell? In this video, we'll explore R. Kelly's rise to fame, the choices he made along the way, and the series of events that led to his downfall. His story is one of extreme success followed by a dramatic and public collapse. This is the story of how fame, fortune, and personal decisions can completely change someone's life. Let's begin. Quick overview of Kelly's rise to fame. R. Kelly's rise to fame was nothing short of incredible. He started out as a talented young man from Chicago, and by the 1990s, he was a household name. His hits like I Believe I Can Fly and Bump and Grind topped the charts and won him millions of fans around the world. He wasn't just a singer. He was a producer, songwriter, and performer. He won multiple Grammy Awards and sold over 50 million albums worldwide. At the peak of his career, Kelly seemed unstoppable. His influence on R&B music was undeniable, and he worked with some of the biggest names in the industry. Everything he touched seemed to turn into a hit, making him one of the most successful musicians of his time. But while he enjoyed massive success in the music industry, trouble was brewing beneath the surface. His personal life and behavior would soon overshadow his incredible career. Transition to the dark side of fame. As R. Kelly's fame grew, so did the rumors and controversies surrounding his personal life. There were whispers of misconduct behind the scenes, but his musical success often overshadowed them. However, as the years went on, these rumors turned into serious accusations. People began to ask hard questions about Kelly's relationships and actions. His fame and fortune couldn't keep these issues hidden forever. The early signs of trouble started to appear, and slowly, his personal life began to catch up with him. What had once been private started becoming public knowledge, setting the stage for the legal battles that would soon follow. Kelly's public image began to shift, and the world started to see a different side of the man behind the music. This was just the beginning of his downfall. The legal troubles begin. R. Kelly's legal troubles started to surface in the early 2000s. What began as rumors became serious legal battles. He was charged with multiple crimes, including sex trafficking, child pornography, and extortion. These accusations shocked the world and put his career in jeopardy. For years, Kelly denied the allegations, and his legal team fought hard to keep him out of jail. But as more people came forward with stories, it became harder for him to avoid the consequences. The charges began to pile up, and his public image took a massive hit. Despite this, Kelly tried to keep his music career alive, but the damage was done. In 2020, at a court hearing, Kelly revealed he owed nearly $2 million to the IRS. This showed how much his legal troubles had hurt his finances. The man who had once been at the top of the music world was now facing a mountain of legal problems and financial ruin. Financial ruin and personal loss. R. Kelly's legal troubles didn't just affect his finances, they destroyed his reputation. Once admired for his musical genius, he became the center of a public scandal that grew larger with each new allegation. His fans, who once celebrated his talent, began to question the man behind the music. The accusations were not just a legal problem, they were a major blow to his public image. As the charges became more serious, the music industry started to distance itself from him. Streaming services like Spotify removed him from public playlists. Also, radio stations stopped playing his songs. People who had once worked with him began to speak out against him. His legacy as the king of R&B was now being overshadowed by his legal battles and the disturbing nature of the accusations. For many, R. Kelly was no longer just a musician, he had become a symbol of controversy and scandal. His reputation, once built on hits and awards, was now tainted, and the impact was irreversible. The final blow, conviction and sentence. Several key moments marked R. Kelly's fall from grace. In 2002, the first major charge came when a tape surfaced, allegedly showing him with an underage girl. This led to a trial that stretched on for years. Though he was acquitted in 2008, the accusations didn't stop. Then, in 2017, the Surviving R. Kelly documentary brought new attention to his behavior. The documentary included testimonies from women who accused him of abuse and manipulation. This was a turning point. Suddenly, the world was forced to confront the darker side of R. Kelly's life. In 2019, Kelly was arrested again on federal charges, including sex trafficking and child pornography. This time, the evidence against him was overwhelming. In 2021, he was convicted and sentenced to 31 years in prison. These key moments, from the early 2000s to his conviction, shaped the public's view of him and sealed his fate. Kelly's financial downfall. R. Kelly's financial situation collapsed as his legal troubles grew. At his career peak, he was worth tens of millions. He had luxury homes, expensive cars, and all the signs of a wealthy superstar. But his lavish lifestyle and years of legal battles took a toll on his finances. By 2020, during a court hearing, Kelly revealed he owed nearly $2 million to the IRS. He was also facing debts to other creditors, which painted a stark picture of his financial downfall. His properties, like his Chicago mansion, the Chocolate Factory, were foreclosed. They had once symbolized his success. In 2013, the mansion was auctioned off at a fraction of its former value. Kelly's inability to tour, due to his growing controversies, only made things worse. His income streams dried up. His debts grew, along with his legal fees. His financial empire crumbled. At his conviction, Kelly, once a millionaire, faced dire financial distress. His fortune was nearly gone. R. Kelly's personal life into his fall. R. Kelly's personal life was deeply connected to his downfall. From the outside, he seemed like a man with everything: fame, money, and influence. But behind closed doors, his personal life was filled with turmoil. His behavior with women, especially younger ones, raised questions. Relationships were strained long before his legal issues began. His marriage to Andrea Lee ended in divorce in 2009, with allegations of abuse surfacing. This marked the beginning of a shift in how the public viewed him. As more women shared stories of abuse, it became clear that his choices were affecting his public image. His interactions with young women, including the illegal marriage to singer Aaliyah, became a major part of the scandal that followed him throughout his career. These personal decisions, once hidden from the public eye, eventually became part of the very thing that led to his downfall. R. Kelly's inability to separate his troubling personal life from his public career ultimately played a huge role in his fall. Whispers about his relationships turned into a public scandal. It ended his career and his freedom. Recapping the final court cases. R. Kelly's final legal battles marked the end of his public career and his freedom. After years of accusations and legal challenges, things escalated in 2019 when he was arrested on federal charges. These charges included sex trafficking, child exploitation, and obstruction of justice. The evidence against him was overwhelming. Multiple women testified to years of abuse and manipulation. The trial was a culmination of decades of allegations. In 2021, a federal jury found Kelly guilty of all counts. These included racketeering and violating the Mann Act, which banned sex trafficking across state lines. This conviction was a major moment in his fall. The legal system finally caught up with long-standing accusations against him. In June 2022, Kelly was sentenced to 31 years in prison, a sentence that symbolized the end of his public life. The court cases proved his guilt. They also closed, for many victims, a painful chapter of abuse. For Kelly, the final court rulings were the definitive end of his long and controversial career. Focusing on the emotional impact, R. Kelly's downfall deeply affected his victims, fans, family, and the public. His conviction gave the survivors a sense of justice after years of silent suffering. Many had lived with the trauma of their experiences for decades. The public court cases finally gave them a chance to be heard. Their testimonies were heartbreaking. They revealed the manipulation and abuse they endured at the hands of someone they once admired. For Kelly's fans, the emotional weight was heavy. Many had idolized him, seeing him as a musical genius who created the soundtrack to their lives. His fall from grace felt like a betrayal. The man behind the music was very different from his public persona. His conviction left a lasting mark on his legacy, overshadowing the music that had once made him a star. The emotional toll extended to his family as well. Kelly's downfall hurt his children, his ex-wife, and others close to him. They had to reconcile their relationships with the public scandal. His story is a painful reminder. Personal choices can deeply affect not just the individual, but everyone around them. Dramatic narration to intensify the story. The emotional impact of R. Kelly's downfall was devastating and far-reaching. For the victims, his conviction was more than a win. It acknowledged their pain at last. For years, they had been silenced, their voices lost in the shadow of Kelly's fame. But in the courtroom, their stories were finally heard. These were not just accusations, they were cries for justice. They revealed the shocking depths of manipulation and abuse by a man they once trusted. For fans, the betrayal cut deep. R. Kelly had been more than just an artist. He was a symbol of inspiration for millions. His songs were the soundtrack to moments of joy, love, and hope. But with each revelation, the image of the man behind the music crumbled. The artist they had once celebrated now stood accused of unimaginable acts. His conviction wasn't just the fall of a celebrity, it was the destruction of an icon. The public watched as his legacy, built over decades, was dismantled piece by piece. And what of his family? His children? His ex-wife? How does one reconcile the man they knew with the monster portrayed in court? The downfall of R. Kelly wasn't just his, it was shared by everyone connected to him. His choices and his actions sent shockwaves through their lives, leaving behind scars that may never heal. From the top of the music charts to a prison cell, R. Kelly's fall was as dramatic as his rise. A once celebrated star, now a convict, his story is a warning. Fame can amplify both greatness and darkness. Fame couldn't save him from the truth, and now the world will remember him not for his music, but for the pain he inflicted. The legacy and cautionary tale. Kelly's story leaves behind a complicated legacy. On one hand, he was a musical genius, responsible for some of the most iconic R&B songs of a generation. His influence on the music industry is undeniable. His hits will likely be played for years to come. But now his legacy is stained. What once was admiration for his talent is overshadowed by the darkness of his actions. Kelly's downfall warns of the dangers of fame, power, and unchecked behavior. His rise to the top gave him influence, but it also allowed him to hide his troubling personal life for far too long. It shows how power can be abused and how eventually the truth comes to light. No amount of success can erase the consequences of one's actions. For artists, fans, and the public, R. Kelly's story is a reminder of how fragile fame can be. His talent brought him to the peak of success, but his choices brought about his fall. In the end, his story is not just about music. It's about accountability, the dangers of unchecked power, and the need to speak out against wrongs, no matter how famous or influential the wrongdoer may be. R. Kelly's rise and fall. R. Kelly's rise to fame was extraordinary. He became one of the most successful R&B artists of all time, known for hits like I Believe I Can Fly and Bump and Grind. His talent and influence on music were undeniable. He sold millions of albums and won many awards. However, behind his success, his personal life unraveled. Allegations of sexual abuse and misconduct began to surface. They slowly chipped away at his reputation. Over the years, these rumors became serious legal charges. By 2019, Kelly faced federal charges of sex trafficking and child pornography. His financial empire crumbled and his public image was shattered. In 2021, R. Kelly was convicted and sentenced to 31 years in prison. The man who once ruled the music charts had fallen from grace. His actions had forever tarnished his legacy. His story serves as a cautionary tale of how personal choices and abuse of power can destroy even the most successful careers. We'd love to hear your thoughts if you found this story insightful. What do you think about R. Kelly's rise and fall? Do you believe his music can be separated from his actions? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And please, like the video and subscribe to the channel. It will help us to dive into the untold stories of celebrities, their successes, and their downfalls. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.